Good morning, everybody at home. It's snowing outside here in the Health Sciences Innovation Building outside. It's kind of beautiful, actually. So today's session will be focused around a topic called moving through pain. And there was a really good question, or series of questions, that someone sent in to Julia, and I'd like to just spend a minute or two addressing those. Somebody said, how do I practice this at home? And I can't remember if the person was asking about pain. I mean, it seemed like they were asking about, he was asking about pain. So let me address that a little bit, and let me address the question of pain. If you have an active injury, so let's say you have a really bad back or your knee hurts really badly, the first thing I want to tell you is, neurologically, you never want to induce pain because your pain receptors hook into your entire nervous system in a way that engage your muscles in a really profoundly useful situation where your muscles are trying to keep, and your fascia is trying to keep your body safe and in health. So as a principle, never move into pain. And let me say the opposite of that, or the converse way of saying that is, always seek comfort. And if the only thing you can do is a very small movement, practice letting it be very small at the beginning, particularly at the beginning. Feldenkrais is not about range. Awareness through movement is not about range. It is about awareness. So there's a very well-known study by, it doesn't matter who, but they were working with stroke patients who they were trying to bring, let's say, the right side of the body back into the field of awareness. And they began to realize in this study that if the person tried to do too much range, too quickly, the entire lesson was a washout. The brain learned nothing. But if they did incremental and very small movements, the brain could process that. And one feature of the brain-body interaction is that we need rest for the brain and body to organize those pathways. That's why I ask you to rest over and over again. In terms of practicing every day, you can begin to look at these lessons and pick up patterns. So today, maybe at the end I'll go through what the patterns are of this, or the organizing principles of this lesson. And then you can practice those. You don't have to practice the whole lesson. The last thing I'll say is, this work is not called movement to inspire awareness. It's called awareness through movement. The best way you might think about this is movement is simply a medium. It's a medium for the body to become aware of itself, for the brain and body to become aware. So the movement itself, and this is counterintuitive to a lot of the teachings that we get in, very active or stretchy classes. We think that more or range, long trajectories of movement, big trajectories, are the important thing. They are not in terms of neurological function. Again, it's called awareness through movement. Okay, so today's lesson I chose particularly because a lot of the pain that people experience is experienced in the center of the trunk somewhere, shoulders, midsection, back. So first, and if you have any other questions, text Julia or chat Julia, and she'll let me know. All right, so first, lie down on your back and let your legs go long. And let your hands and arms be just at the side of you comfortably, whatever that means to you. Pay particular attention to the length, the sensation of length of your legs. Now, as I walk around here, I can easily see each person's one leg is lying longer than the other. So I often hear, particularly one-on-one clients, students, they say, oh, I have a leg that's longer than the other. Maybe. It depends on where you measure it from. Probably your whole organization is longer on one side, right? So sense if you can feel what leg feels longer than the other. And then trace back into the hips in your awareness and your bottom. On the side that feels longer, how do the hips feel on that side? And then go to the shorter side. Bring your attention to the shorter side. And notice how your hip feels on that side. And now again, organizing this awareness from the leg. Maybe one leg doesn't feel longer, but it might just feel heavier or different than the other. That's fine. So using that organizing principle of one leg feeling heavier or longer or somehow different, notice what's happening in your ribs at the bottom of each side of the ribs. If you need to know where the bottom of your ribs are, you can put your hands on the side of your ribs to say, oh, those are my ribs. Oh, yeah, you can certainly do this one sitting. The request is someone to come up and sit in the chair. Or do you want me to just show this every once in a while sitting? That can work too. I'm not going to show the scan sitting, though. So for those of you at home sitting, when I sit down, I'll often be showing you the lesson here. Yep, okay, good. So now, stand your right knee, just your right knee, and roll your pelvis to the left. And notice your right hip, just a little, just a tiny bit. Keep your knee more or less pointing straight up in the air. So if you were sitting, this is my right knee, I would be doing this. And what I'd like you to notice is, do it again and again, very small. Notice how your right knee lengthens as you roll to the left. In fact, almost the only way to make this happen is for the right knee to lengthen. So here, if I'm sitting, I'm just going to push into my right foot and roll to the left. Now lengthen out the right knee and let the left knee stand, left foot stand, and do the same thing on this side. And notice that it might feel different on one side than the other. And do it as much as you can without tilting the knee. Now, don't lock that knee in. If it tilts a little, that's not a big deal. But it's not principally done by sending the weight of the knee to the right. So this is just the opposite. And now go back and forth, lengthen one, and figure out, oh, it works better on this side. One side is going to be almost invariably easier than the other side. When you're sitting, you can really feel that knee lengthening. So now stand both feet and roll left and right. And now you can again judge, oh, look, it's easier on one side than the other. Or it's different on one side than the other. Very small, very small, very small. And now do it in that jelly-like way, that blop, 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 blop. Just a little bit, a little tiny bit of movement, back and forth. And feel, it's as if one side knows how to do it and the other side doesn't know how to do it. Or it may not be that extreme, but for almost all of us, we have oriented ourselves to one side or the other. And get that little jelly going. So do the smallest amount you can to feel that it's happening. Small, small, small. But do it faster. So like it's really like blop, 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 blop. And what I'm interested in you feeling here is what's happening in your chest and your ribs when you jelly your hips back and forth. Even faster. Even a little faster in the class here. So you might have to go smaller to go faster. And feel your chest, and particularly your ribs. Feel the quality there. We will return to this movement at the end of the class. Lengthen your legs. I forgot to mention at the beginning of this class, we're going to be lying on our side during this. So in the classroom here or at home, if you want to go get a jacket to put under your head or something like, Virginia, here's my jacket. Ron, do you want me to bring you something? Here you go. And it's not Jenny, I'm sorry. What's your name? Rebecca, sorry. You want to use this? Okay. And here you go, Virginia. So lie on your left side. Now, if you're sitting, you don't have to lie on the side. Take your knees and put them directly out in front of you, so you'll be in the fetal position. Put your head on a towel, and I'll give you at home a moment to find something to put your head on, a pillow, a towel, so you're comfortable. And extend both hands like palm to palm out in front of you. So sitting, when I tell you to be on your left side, just think that you're lying on your left side. Essentially, if you look at them on the ground, they're sitting, just like this. Okay. So now take your right hand and reach around over your head, and grab close to your left ear and lift your head off the ground, just a tiny bit. And feel, and you can do this at home, like this. So feel what happens, and put it back down and do it again. Very, very small, very, very small. Feel that the ribs on the right side are somehow opening. Oops, sorry, on the left side are opening. And the ribs on the right side are closing. So what we're doing is we're drawing our head toward our hip. And in doing that, the only way we can do that is to open the ribs on one side, and they get pressed into the floor if you're lying down, and to close the ribs when you're lying down on the top side. So let that alone for a moment, and just rest on your left side. And now put your hand back up there, and this time, just leave your hand there, and do the same motion, but initiate it from the hip. So in other words, you're going to move your hip towards your head, not your head towards your hip. You still can lift your head, but you're really thinking, all right, I'm moving my hip toward my head. It's not something we think about doing very much, is it? Orienting motion through the spine and the ribs from the hip. Again, if you're sitting, all I'm asking you to do is go like this. So I'm going to move my hip up toward my head. And now do a little bit of each. Lift your head toward your hip with awareness, and then lift your hip towards your head with awareness. Small, 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 small. Smaller. It really just does not take much here for this to work. Great. Let that go and lie on your back. And just sense the sort of resonance, maybe like the residue of what we just did. Can you feel any sensations of what we just did? Anywhere in your whole self? And now lie on your right side in the same way. Put the jacket or towel under your head. And why am I doing that? I'm doing that so that your head is not reaching down toward the floor. And this time, take your left arm, reach it over your head, and very slowly, excuse me, and small, raise your head towards your hip. And feel, is this different than the other side? So if you're sitting, it's just the opposite. Hand and side. Does this feel more or less coordinated or organized than the other side? Feel that the ribs are opening on the right side. And on the left side, they're closing. Take a small rest. And then put your hand back up there. And this time, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. Move your hip towards your head. You can still lift your head at the same time. But we're really initiating it from the hip. Feel the ribs. Now do a few of each. One head toward hip, the other hip toward head. And now take a rest on your back. And let me just ask you in the class here while you're resting, did one side feel different than the other? More organized or more awkward on one side? Which side?
The side we just did felt more awkward.
Felt more awkward, uh-huh. What we're feeling when we're feeling one side being more awkward is not a problem. It's the way we constantly, without thinking about it, use ourselves. Over and over again, we have learned to orient ourselves to one side or the other. This could have to do with an injury. It could have to do with where you lie down in your bed. If you're in a bed with a partner, and so you might orient yourself toward your partner. It may have to do with the dominant eye. So maybe your right eye is a little easier to see and you're orienting toward the left to open up that right eye. It's any number of things could be happening. Again, it could be the smallest injury in your life somewhere you learn to orient to one side or the other. That's perfectly natural. And it's not something we're going to fix. All we're going to do is go through the lesson. And I'll tell you another thing about pain. A principle of Feldenkrais is to always start with the comfortable side. Let the comfortable side teach the uncomfortable side how to do it. And work in a very small range on that easy side. So make it easy for the other side. All right, so now I'm going to lie on your left side. Just the same way, now I am going to ask you to extend your hands again. So if you're sitting, it looks like this. Only you're not lying on your side, but if I were lying on my left side, it would be like this. Now I'm going to ask you to do a funny thing, which is slide, just the way your hands are, slide your right hand away from your body, not bending at the elbow at all. Very small movements back and forth. So it's like you're rolling dough between your hands. And only go forward back to neutral. And notice when you do this, what's happening in the shoulder blade, your right shoulder blade. And begin to notice, as you do this, that your head might begin to roll just a little bit. And let me point out, for your head to roll means you must be moving your spine. Again and again, back and forth. It might want to go a little further each time. That's totally fine. But if you allow your head to roll, you might begin to notice that you can feel where your spine is turning from the top of your spine. So I'm going to do this sitting just a little bit. So thinking I'm lying on this side. See how I'm turning my head? I'm allowing my spine to turn. Start to become aware in the smallest way that your spine is turning from the top. And the only way I can slide my hand forward on the right side is if I allow my shoulder blade to slide along the ribs and back. Our shoulders are just really amazing structures, and the shoulder blades can slide on the ribs and back. If you have shoulder pain or pain in the upper part of your neck or back, this right here is a perfect exercise. If your pain is in a locked shoulder, be very careful. Don't do much. Very, very small, like a rotator cuff or a locked shoulder blade. Be very, very careful. Don't do much. Just the tiniest bit of sliding to say, it's okay. And now back and forth like jelly, just a little bit. Try to keep your hips still so you're actually rotating from the top of your spine. And I can see in all three of the people here that their hands are going further naturally. They started very small, but they're going further. They're traveling further. You might be feeling that at home as well. So now rest with your palms facing each other. And feel the breath moving in the ribs. By the way, this isn't a really good exercise or lesson. This part of it is a great lesson to go to sleep. I should maybe have taught one of these lessons all around sleep, because a lot of people have difficulty in the positions of sleeping. So now, what I'd like you to do is take your right hand and move it back without bending the elbow. So now the shoulder blade is coming back. The head is rolling toward the ceiling. Try to keep your hips, try to keep your knees one on top of the other, and your hips relatively quiet. So now understand, we're doing the opposite. We're allowing that shoulder blade to move back and allowing the spine to begin to take that motion. Maybe you can actually feel your spine turning from the top into lower vertebrae, maybe even into the middle of your back. Just at some point, give some awareness that your spine, if you keep your hips relatively fixed, your spine is turning. Otherwise, you're rolling, right? Let the head come toward the sky. Go back to the center. Rest on your left side. And now do forward and then back. So we start from the center, we go forward and then back. Hips stay relatively fixed. Forward, then back. And again, one of the things that Feldenkrais does often in a lesson is to ask you to do it slightly faster, but small. So it's a little bit like jelly. What he's asking you to do is feel the vibration or the resonance of this action throughout your whole system. He's saying, feel the whole thing moving. So small and a little faster. I can see here on the floor, like Virginia is really moving further than you were at first, right, Virginia? You can feel that. Rebecca is, Ron is. All three of you are moving further. So now, from here, let it just rest. And just easily take your right hand and put it on the floor, like stand your elbow, and sit up and then stand up and walk around. Now, we only worked here on the right side, forward and back. We're only going to walk around a little bit, but we're going to notice just that motion of taking the hand forward and back maybe changed the way we feel in this orientation. And those of you here, as I frequently do when we're walking around, is there anything you feel? Longer. On the right side? It's really interesting, isn't it? Because all we did was reach the arm out, and Ron pointed to his hip and his leg. Way longer, right? Now, what would account for that? I'm not going to answer the question because there is no really answer. But all we did was some rotation of the spine from the top, and we all feel longer. So lie back down, again on the left side, same direction. Take your hands and put them out in front, knees on top of each other. Now, with the hands more, and the arms and the shoulders more or less fixed, not braced, but fixed, slide the right hip forward. So the right knee is going to slide forward. Now, we're doing the opposite thing, but we're not rolling. We're actually turning in the spine. We're just lengthening the right knee while the hands stay fixed. So this, if you're sitting, it looks like this. Like all I'm doing here is lengthening the right knee. And now feel what you're actually doing is rotating the spine from the bottom. So Rebecca, give a little more attention to the shoulders staying fixed. Now, it's hard because you're wanting to roll and feel that rotation. So maybe go smaller. That's it. That's it. You feel how that's a little easier if you go smaller? Yeah. So now rest for a moment. And now we're going to go backward. So we're going to draw the knee backward. So the hip is going back toward the back of you. If you're sitting, you might have to pull your butt forward just a little bit so that this right side is going backward. And the knee will shorten. See, it'll go a few inches shorter. We're turning from the bottom of our spine. Now feel, where can I feel my turning in my spine? From the bottom. And now rest for just a moment. Can you guess what we're going to do? Forward and back, right? Forward and back. Now, I'm going to give you another thing to pay attention to, but it might be too much for this lesson, but I'm giving it to you so that when you're moving, if you have pain in your side or pain in your back, this is another point of attention. Typically in this lesson, we're really orienting toward where the spine is turning. But in order to turn the spine there, we have to be moving our ribs. So you might put a little bit of attention toward how your ribs are. You could even put a hand on the ribs to feel, oh, my ribs are moving when I'm doing this. And now do a few faster, forward and back. The spine and the ribs work together all the time. In fact, the ribs are only joined, fixed, for every rib has an adjoining vertebrae. That's it. Good, rest. And now, lie on your back and rest. And feel just what you feel in this position. If you're sitting, just neutralize everything and feel, okay, I worked my hips, my right side, I worked my arms on my right side. How do I feel now? Roll to your right side. Both arms in front. Left hand slides forward. Hips stay relatively fixed. Feel that your left shoulder blade is sliding across the back of your ribs. That's what it's meant to do. In order to turn, you can actually really feel this in sitting. In order to turn, often we turn by using our arms. And if I turn to the left, or to the right, using my left hand, my left shoulder blade slides across the back. For me, though, the left shoulder blade is more locked than the right shoulder blade. So I have this clear stopping feeling going to the right. Feel, what happens if I let my head just go and roll? Does it allow that motion to go from the top of my spine down through my spine a little more? Take a little rest in the middle. And now draw the left hand back. Keeping your hips relatively still. So it's a twisting motion of the smallest sort. And feel that left shoulder blade and spine are doing different things. The shoulder blade might be sliding along the ribs in the back. Maybe you can feel your spine turning. Now do a little back and forth, a little forward, a little backward. So we're basically rolling the spine from the top, in very small ways. I'm trying to think of an area of my body that would not enjoy this if I had pain. Maybe the only thing is if I had a locked shoulder. I might really want to do this in a really careful way. But I could do it with a locked shoulder by turning my spine. And a little jelly-like back and forth. A little faster, blub, 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 blub. Feel the head go down toward the floor and back up toward the sky. Rest. Now, with the shoulders relatively fixed, let the left knee go forward. Again, here it is. It's harder for me to do this side. Feel your spine turning from the bottom. What happens if you do each forward movement on an exhale? That's it. Rest in the middle. Draw the hip and the knee back. Left knee back. Feel the spine turning from the bottom. This might feel easy. It might feel slightly awkward. It's okay. If it feels awkward, do it smaller and on the exhale. Now a few back and forth, a little like jelly, all the way forward and backward. A little smaller, but like jelly. That's it, Rebecca. You feel you're starting to get that fixed shoulder. You feel that? It's not turning as much now. Yeah. And that's not right or wrong. That's just your nervous system figuring something out, going, oh, I can move in the middle of me. I don't have to move up here. Yeah. Good. Rest on your back with your legs long. Stand your feet, both feet, and roll, just like we did at the beginning, to the left and the right by pushing one foot on the floor and the knees standing. And feel, is there any difference here? Notice that to take my hips to the left or the right, rolling, I have to turn my spine. Well, I guess I wouldn't have to. I guess I could stay like a board. But I'm asking you to only roll your hips and not to roll over in your shoulders. It's probably still easier on one side, but it might have changed. Great. Roll over to your left side. Take your hand, put it over your head, and draw your head toward your hip. And feel if anything's different there. So feel the ribs on the left side pushing toward the floor, and the ribs on the right side compressing. Draw the hip toward the head. And then do a little of both. Draw the hip toward the head and the head toward the hip. Great. Roll onto your back and onto your right side. Take your time. And now, same thing here. Bring your hand what is it, your left hand. Draw your head up. Hip, if you're sitting, your hip is going to rise a little bit off of your chair. But feel the ribs on the side. On the side toward the floor are opening, and on the side toward the sky are closing. Let's stay on this side and extend the left hand out to be on top of the right hand. And now, just a few times, let the left hand slide forward without doing anything in the hips. Just a few times, and back, forward, back. And now, the next time you do it, start with the hands pretty much even. Take the hip, while you draw the left hand forward, take the hip and move it backward. Very small, and then back to the center. Pay attention to your spine. Give a lot of awareness in the spine and where you can feel the vertebrae turning. And then do the opposite. So what I mean is, take the hand and slide it back, and the hip and slide it forward. And now do a few forward and backward, and all the way forward. So the forward with the hand, backward with the hip, and then the opposite. So we're twisting ourselves through the spine, feeling that reach of twisting throughout the length of the spine. Very, very small, do it a little faster. Okay, let it rest here for a second. Now I'm going to ask you to do something you haven't done on this yet, which is slide the left knee forward while you slide the left hand forward. So this is a different kind of turning. It's turning through the whole self. It's not a twisting. It's a turning and back. And the head goes down and up. If you leave your head fixed, you're going to be fixing your spine. You're going to be stiffening your spine. And then do a few of these same things backward. Hand goes backward. Rest on your back. Roll to your right side. One knee on top of the other, hands out in front of you. Slide just the other side, Rebecca. There you go. They often say the other right side. And the teachers, it doesn't matter how many years that you're doing this, you're going to get messed up on left and right. There's just no way around it. And then do a few where you take the hip and move it back. While you do this, while the right hand slides forward, the right hip moves back. So it's a twisting. Feel it in the spine. Is your head fixed, or can your head also move? The only way your head can move in a rolling motion is for your spine to move. It's the only way it can move. But it's the neck and the upper back vertebrae that move when we move the neck, and the head, I mean. So allow that head to move with this. You might even initiate it with the head a few times, just to recognize that turning your shoulders or turning yourself is easier if you turn your head. If you allow your head to go free, your neck to go free, you'll turn more easily. Now do a few with your hand coming back and your knee going forward. And now do a few back and forth. Twisting. So hip goes in the opposite direction of the hand. Hand goes forward, hip goes back. Hand goes back, hip goes forward. And now do a few where your right hand goes forward while your right knee goes forward. So this is a rolling. This is a turning of the whole spine. Just to differentiate, I can turn my whole spine. That's it. Feel how easy this is to do compared to when it started? It's almost like you're folding in a completely different way. And now, before we rest and then get up on our feet, it's sort of like student's choice here. Find the right or the left side and go to the most comfortable position you found. It could be this side, it could be the other side. And take your hand in the most comfortable direction, and if you have to do it to feel it, just feel, what is easiest for me to do? And then figure it out with your hips, too. What's easiest for me to do with my knee and hip? There is no right or wrong here. I'm asking you to do what's easy for you. And to really feel what happens to my breath when I do the easiest thing. So if I were to suggest something for pain or for going to sleep, I would go to the easiest thing and feel my breath going, this is easy. And then, you don't have to do this. In fact, we don't really have time to include this. I might go to what's harder for me to do, or more awkward, but do it in a much smaller range. But with trying to allow the breath to get easier. Okay, lie down on your back. Feel what might feel different from when we started. One of the great things about teaching Feldenkrais awareness through movement is you can see people's bodies changing right in front of you. So feel, does the length of your legs, when we started with that, does it feel different than it's felt at the beginning? Roll off to one side. come to sitting and standing easily. That was the first lesson we did, really. That's it. It's a pattern that's in you now a little bit. Walk around and feel that this, what I'm doing here, walking, when I extend my left leg, I automatically extend my right arm. We twist when we walk. I mean, you don't have to. You can walk like this. It's just not a very efficient way to walk. But notice that in walking, that thing that we just did on the floor is operating. So if you were to extend your hand, do you feel your spine twist? Okay, so anything you feel different in the class here, you can name it.
More open in the hips.
More open in the hips, uh-huh.
And shoulders, I would say.
And shoulders, uh-huh.
A little bit better posture.
Uh-huh. So something I introduced to you today is that if Ron were to turn his head, the only way he can turn his head is to turn his spine. So we tend to think of our head as a different thing than our spine. But our head will orient our spine. So if you lock your head, you are locking your spine through your neck. Julia, do we have any questions?
No, not yet. We just had a few questions. Hi, no questions at the moment. We did just have some comments again for next week that we'll make sure that we have somebody sitting in a chair. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then I put the link into our chat for our University of Arizona Health Sciences YouTube channel so that any of our recordings could be found there.
I believe, although what's next week is the fourth week, I believe next week might actually be a sitting exercise, a sitting lesson. So have a chair ready for next week. Any questions here or anything about pain? We were talking about moving through pain. Let me just say, a lot of pain management with people suggests if I have pain in my shoulder, work on my shoulder. But a lot of what we just did was not working on the shoulder at all. It was working on the spine and the ribs, really, and the hips, and the relationship between the hips and the shoulders. All of that organization will change the orientation of your shoulder, the organization of your shoulder with your body. So what you can do as pain management is to work on your whole self and bring that shoulder, let's say, back into some more easily organized state with the breath. I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you. See you next week.